pledge
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just put his sign down so people don't confuse it. We'll open the meeting with a moment of silence, remembering that today is the anniversary of the attacks on 9/11. This meeting is being recorded and televised by the local cable company. I'd like a motion to approve bill and payroll warrants.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I only have to look left, but that's
I know.
what I do anyway. Accept correspondence in the read file. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Public forum, now is the time for anyone to speak who wants to speak about something that's not on the agenda. Approval of meeting minutes, open session August 28th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
First item on the agenda, the town administrator's report. Frank?
Yes, couple of things. We have received a certification of budget from Whitman Hanson. As you know, they vote the assessments and we vote to fund. And on August 31st, they voted a fiscal budget for 2019 at $50,523,181. That is an increase in the operating budget for Whitman over last year of $1,054,205, and it is at the assessment that was voted at our May town meeting. I'd like to defer the tax title foreclosure at 372 South Avenue until I have a little more information.
Okay. And we also have under your report, we were going to discuss the Whitman-Hanson Regional School District amended agreement. Remember, we had tabled it the last time?
Yes,
And
unfortunately.
we had tabled it partly because, well, we had tabled it a couple of times ago because we wanted everybody here. We tabled it last time to get more information. We're tabling it this time because we're missing 2 members. But that's not the only reason why we're not dealing with school things tonight. Would you like to at least introduce what we may have been talking about?
Yes, there were 2 requests from Whitman Hanson. One was to replace an air handler that failed at the Conley School, and certainly given the circumstances that would meet any definition of an emergency. So they have taken the steps, they have replaced it, and will be seeking a vote from the Board of Selectmen to support covering that cost at the next special town meeting. They have also...
At the next meeting?
At
Oh,
the-
special town meeting, okay.
They have also requested that we support adding additional parking to the Duval School. Apparently, over the last many years, the number of employees has increased and the parking, in their estimation, is insufficient. Mr. Sandlin was to be here tonight, but since we couldn't act on the agreement, I suggested we move all of those items to our next meeting. So they will be here to discuss that.
And just to be clear, that item is going to be asking for an amount of money to solve a parking problem at the Duval School,
Correct.
adding a parking lot,
Yes, in
moving
the
some
back
playground equipment.
where the playground currently is. They have 2 playground areas.
But the question that we'll be looking at the next meeting then is whether or not we consider that emergency spending.
Yes,
Is-
and I did speak to Ernie and to Christine, and I did tell them that while I understood their need for parking, I really had a hard time identifying that as something that constituted an emergency and immediate need.
And it would certainly need, as a board, to discuss it amongst ourselves, whether or not we would actually support that kind of an expenditure
Right.
at the next special town meeting or town meeting. And the price was approximately 30 grand, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
There were a couple of other items. We received a notice from the MBTA that parking at the MBTA lot has increased from $4 to $6 per day. All I can say is, wow. We also received communication, I did circulate it by email to the board, from the Attorney General regarding what was alleged to be an open meeting law violation, which was announced at our last meeting. The board did respond to that charge, identifying the steps it took and why it did not believe it to be a violation. And so far, there has been no follow-up from the complaining party.
Okay. So is it still up in the air, or is it over?
If they don't renew the charge by October 7th, it's over. And then, on the good news side, we have received, as of today, 3 interests for 2 vacancies on the planning board.
Oh, great.
I've sent the information to the planning board and suggested that we might have a joint meeting for appointment on the 25th. I will, of course, circulate the information and resumes to the board of selectmen as well. And that will be helpful for them.
Yeah.
And on the accounting recruiting side, we are conducting interviews on Thursday, preliminary interviews.
You have a timetable for when you think that process might be over?
I would hope by the end of the following week,
Okay.
so that we can present candidates to the
Okay.
board on the 25th.
On the 25th, okay, great. Anything else?
No.
Budget review, Mr. Lambiase was going to be covering that. I contacted him and asked him if he had anything for me to report tonight. I haven't heard back from him. I don't know if he's talked to you. I know he's been trying to fill the slots on that committee, but I have no information as to where he is on that. We did get some communication from Dr. Tarsi, as far as the community assessment is concerned. Frank, do you want
Yes,
to introduce that?
I did speak with Dr. Tarsi today. I received a couple of emails yesterday and today. They have drawn up what would be the first draft of potential questions. She has asked that we circulate that among the department managers and boards for the town to review and make suggestions as to whether there may be others to add or whether they're even on point. She's bringing a graduate student in to manage that process, and she's asked me to work with him in reviewing and preparing everything so that the process can move forward.
Okay, so copies of the first draft will go to other board members,
Yes,
department heads, selectmen.
yes.
Did she offer a deadline by which she wanted reaction to that or responses to that?
No, but I think we want to keep this on a short leash
Yeah, we
to
do.
move it forward. I also talked about publishing it, and she didn't feel that advertising it and seeking additional
She
public
fe-
input at this time would be helpful.
She felt
because
that she already advertised it and sought public
They
input
want to wrap it up.
and received some, okay. Yeah, it would be good if we had some more input from her at our next meeting. So if you could get this out to the people and give them a short notice, like a week to
It'll go
get
out
responses,
tomorrow?
so that we can get their responses to her within a week, and then within the next week, maybe we can have some feedback from her.
Indeed.
One question, John?
Yeah.
Frank, did she let you know how much of a response that she got an email? I know I sent something in and wondering,
Not as many as I'd hoped. Less than 20.
really?
Yep.
Because she did return a thank you for when I
Yeah.
sent them my
And
comments.
but she's also putting together questions based on the discussions we had at that
Yeah.
meeting and her experience in conducting other community surveys. And, I mean, it covered financial, social, kind of what's important to you. And it should be a helpful survey once it's complete.
Just, what I was thinking is if she sends out a possible survey to all the department heads, and they have some questions on what she's looking to do, it's just a shame that if in fact those departments never got back to her and looking.
Well,
you know,
I'll coordinate it
Yeah,
so
Have them
that,
get the responses to you, and you be able
yeah,
to filter.
I will
it.
coordinate it so that all the responses come in.
And then you'll know which ones you haven't received and
Yeah,
which ones.
and
are bugging
I'm
you.
scheduling a department head meeting for next Tuesday, so
Mhm.
if I don't have responses, I'll be looking for them at that meeting.
Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is the liaison reports. No one said they
Nope.
had any to make. Chief Greno did contact me, and I thought he was, and he is here. Chief? Yeah, Chief wanted to make an announcement. And I said it would be, even though it's not on the agenda, I thought it would be appropriate to do it at this time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Each year, the federal government has what they call the Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program. This year, they approved $310 million across the country for the assistance to firefighters, which pays for equipment, much-needed items that we use in the fire grounds. There's a safer grant for staffing and stuff to like that effect. Our self-contained breathing apparatus is a 2002 model. If you look at cars and you compare it to self-contained breathing apparatus, it's a 2002 model. Since 2002, there's been 2 updates to the self-contained breathing apparatus. And the self-contained breathing apparatus that the firefighters wear is actually their lifeline. When they step off of a fire truck and they have to enter a building of hazardous atmosphere, that's their lifeline, and that's the only thing that they have. We were quickly approaching the end of life for our SCBA within the next couple years. It was part of my 5-year capital plan, I believe, in fiscal 20 or 22, something to that effect. So this year, I took a shot and I applied for full replacement of all of our self-contained breathing apparatus through the Assistance for Firefighters Grant. I was notified last week that we have been awarded $233,144 by the federal government to replace our air packs.
Very good.
There's a 5% match. The total grant is $244,000. Our share is 5% of $11,657, which I went before town meeting last May, and I had $17,000 approved because the initial grant was a little bit higher than what they awarded. So I'm meeting with my vendor tomorrow to start to look at the process and identify the new air packs and start that moving forward. So I'm very pleased to announce that we have a check for $233,144 that we don't have to fight for.
Very good, very good.
good job.
Thank you.
Chief.
Thank you.
Nice.
Received a press release shortly before this meeting from Chief Benton. Chief, do you feel comfortable airing that?
Sure, I didn't bring anything with me, but
Passing out some praise maybe that some people
Yeah.
could have? Do you want my phone to read what you wrote to me?
no, I think hopefully I can remember that much of it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I just thought it would be an opportunity for you to,
No, you're right, and it's certainly worthy of some praise to the officers who responded.
Sorry.
So last night, we received a call for reported some suspicious activity in town here. The officers responded. There were 4 occupants in a vehicle, and there was a semi-automatic 9mm rifle in one of them, and another it was a type of air pistol, I think, in the other one. Handgun, though. I mean, you wouldn't know that. Magazine clip. Serial number was, had been defaced and removed from the rifle. Certainly an assault-type rifle. They had targeted somebody on the street based on information that they had gotten from somebody. So I'm happy to tell you that this turned out and was resolved by the diligent work and, the dedication of these officers, Officer Stokinger, Officer Bert Henderson, and Officer Nelson, who were working the shift, as well as support from Hanson Police, East Bridgewater Police, and the Plymouth County Sheriff's Department. Could have been a much different outcome. I'm happy to report that it wasn't, and all 4 were arraigned today, and they're being held no bail for a dangerousness hearing this Friday. So it was excellent work by the department, as always. I'm very proud of the men and women that work for the department. They do an outstanding job every day, and I don't think that sometimes enough credit is given to this profession anyway lately. So anytime that we have a chance to highlight something, I think Dr. Kowalski's right. We certainly should take advantage of that. So
okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Lives were saved.
Very good.
Yeah, excellent.
And nothing under policies and procedures, correct, Frank?
No, we're working.
Okay, new business. Good. Public meeting with respect to the application of Mitch's Antiques, Mitchell Farber, for a junk dealer's license on the premises located at 605 Bedford Street, Unit Number 5, subject to final inspection, approval of the building commissioner, and surrender of the license currently held at 985 Temple Street. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is Mitch here? Mitch, do you have anything you want to say?
No, but I'm probably gonna need like maybe about 7 days to transfer everything over, like phones and everything, like just to get out of 985 Temple Street,
Mhm.
to come right over to the other place. I'm gonna be probably working out of there until I get everything moved to the other place. If that's,
Okay, can you coordinate that with the building commissioner, I guess?
no, I'm in 985.
You're there now?
I'm in 985 Temple Street now, but
Right.
I haven't moved anything over until after this meeting, so I haven't had a chance to do
Okay.
anything.
Okay.
All right. Anyone have any questions?
Working out of 985 just for another week or so.
Okay.
So I can change the phone and everything.
Okay, all those in favor then of approving this, subject to the final inspection?
Aye.
Aye. Sure, why not?
Good luck. Have fun moving.
Yeah.
Act on the request of Friends of the Park to use the Town Hall Auditorium on Saturday, November 10th, 2018, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. to hold their annual wine tasting and silent auction, and for a one-day liquor license, and to waive the fee for said permit, and use of the auditorium all day Friday and Saturday, November 9th and 10th, in order to set up for the event.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Questions? All those in favor?
Yep,
Aye.
we'll be there.
Act to appoint Brian Bezanson as member of the Bylaw Study Committee for a one-year term through June 30th, 2019, in order to fill an existing vacancy.
So moved.
I guess I'll second my own motion.
You can second yourself. That's all right. Anyone have any questions?
Do you need,
Concerns?
it's 2 of 3 votes enough, or do I have to vote for myself?
Vote for
You can
yourself.
vote for yourself, you don't have.
As long as they know what I'm
Vote
doing.
for yourself.
You're gonna vote
Yeah.
vote for yourself?
Yeah.
Come on, stick up for yourself.
Sounds kind of a little weird, but, oh, all right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks,
Very
Brian. Act on the request of the town clerk, Don Varley, to issue a warrant for unlicensed dogs to the animal control officer.
So moved.
Second.
Anybody's name we know on there?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Act on the request of the town administrator to authorize unanticipated repair for Conley School. Here, request from, we've already dealt with this.
Right.
We're passing over this until we get a couple of members here. Discuss a parent request for transportation accommodation. Frank?
Again, I expected the schools to be here. We have a situation with a young family where there are
With all due respect, though, we suggested that the schools not show up because there were a couple of members absent.
but I can explain what the
Okay.
issue is. We have two sets of twins. We didn't turn that on. We have two sets of twins in a family. One set is in kindergarten, the other set is either in the first or second grade, which is posing some issues for the parent, because we don't bus the older children, but we do bus kindergartners. They're within walking distance. They're within either 3/4 of a mile or some such distance. The schools have asked whether the town, since it's non-mandated transportation, would allow busing both sets of children. Part of it, I guess, is to alleviate what may be the stress of the little ones getting on the bus and seeing their siblings walk away, or posing a difficulty for the parents who have to deal with
Is there a
both
cost
sets
for
of
this?
kids. We have never done it. There could be a charge. There could be a
Well,
fee.
there's charge for non-mandated busing.
Right.
But if there's room on the bus, because buses aren't all filled.
Well, there is room on the bus. The
So-
Regent's question was whether the town would allow, under those circumstances, the transportation, and would the town wish to charge for it?
I don't see where there would be any charge if the bus is going there anyway. There's room in the bus, we pay for the bus, not per student, right?
Correct.
So why would we have an additional cost?
Yeah, that was my question.
Are they going to the same school, all of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
The only issue it potentially could raise is other families saying,
Other
hey, wait a
families who
minute.
don't have
I
sets of
have,
twins.
I don't have twins, but I have two
Yeah.
kids going to school.
And
And
there's one of them more
At a
than the other
point,
one.
it may wind up costing us if we exceed the
Mm-hmm.
capacity of the transportation.
Does the school have a recommendation on this?
I think
What
they
would
would
they
like us to permit that transportation. And I think unless it poses a problem,
We'll see what happens.
we do that. And if it results in more demands and costs, then we can revisit it.
Yeah, I think as long as the family understands the position that we're in, that,
I'm not really clear on the position we're in yet.
It-
We have a bus with room.
It could, right. It-
No, I can see it
it
could get
down the
crazy
road.
if you have,
Right.
other families in the
Yeah,
same
right.
situation,
But we
or,
could-
you know,
We could visit that again if it comes up.
That's what I'm saying. If we do that, and then we find demand for it, and we're not able to meet that demand,
right.
that would be the time to say,
Doesn't seem like it's any harm.
it isn't working.
all right, it just doesn't need a vote, does it? You want to vote?
I think it would be better if we voted to make that
Okay,
exception.
even though we've not voted on some other school things because two people aren't here.
Well, this one's a little more immediate.
All right. You guys comfortable with that?
Yeah, I mean, let's
Okay.
see what happens, let's,
Is there a motion to let the two sets of twins go to school together on the same bus?
yeah, one, we can say they're babysitting on the bus.
Let's not
So
say
get to
that. Let's
school.
just vote on it.
Okay.
I'll make
Okay, is
that,
there a
I'll make
mo-
that
is there a
motion,
motion?
and we'll see the results.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Okay,
it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Old business. Lisa, your old business. Street light project update.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. At our last meeting, we presented some information regarding the types of controls for our streetlights. There were two different options that we presented with some cost information. Based upon that information, the board gave us the okay to go in a certain direction for controls. Well, since then, with an additional meeting with our consultant, more information was brought to our attention, and I felt it necessary to bring this to your attention. The information that we received, it has to do with failure rates of the new type of streetlights with the controls, network costs, and the lack of choices for a company who would handle the networking of all the nodes, so to speak, that are going to be on each light. The failure rates right now, streetlights without the controls, the second option that was, we wouldn't have the ability to dim the lights remotely, we'd have to climb the pole. However, our consultant brought to our attention that even if we were able to dim the lights for a certain amount of time, most people would not notice the difference. But secondly, National Grid does not have a difference in tariffs for dimming and non-dimming. So we're charged the same amount whether we dim the lights or not. The light is on all night, we're charged all night. With the controls, again, as far as once the system is put into place, there's network fees that go along with that. Failure rate, 3%. Some of the nodes fail to communicate with other nodes, which could cause a section to not communicate. So I'm really not sure what the impact would be, whether it would cause that whole neighborhood for the lights to go out or be too bright or be too dim. I did email to get some clarification of what other impacts other communities that went with the controls are receiving. And he did note that there was one community that 6 months into the installation, they're still trying to get 100% of the nodes to communicate together. So that to me is an issue. I don't believe that we're a community that's ready to deal with that type of an impact. As far as resourcing, networking, software, I don't know if it's the right choice for us at this time. The third lack of choices for the company that would run the software and provide the communication, Verizon basically is the company. They are up and coming in this type of technology. They have had good reviews from communities that have gone with the controls. They do have high remarks with our consultant who's done a lot of research on it. However, based on their charges, they do charge somewhere in the range of $5 per node right up front. And then there's a network fee that we would be charged each month. And as we know with Verizon, 1 month it's this price, the next month it's that price. We see a $2 raise. And then 6 months down the line, they'll tell us our introductory rate is over and they'll double it. So that's all unclear at this point. And again, I don't know if we're ready to move forward with that type of question as far as what fees we could see 6 months from now. As if we go with the other system, there's only a 1% failure rate. It's not a big, it's still going to save us considerable amount of money, but we won't have the increased issues that we will face with the controls. And I just don't feel that as a community we're ready to go into that yet. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I have a question. Lisa, if in fact we go without the controls in the beginning and we find that things are working fine and they've progressed in their way of doing things, could we go into the controls after that? I mean, or do we have to change a lot of the
Well,
system?
the controls are based, they're called little nodes that are placed on the top of the light. In the future, the technology could certainly expand in this area. There could certainly be other companies that would come in that would offer better service or more stable service. You just don't know what could happen, but we would have the capability of changing the nodes from just the basic where once we set it, that's it. If we want to change it, we have to climb a pole, to being able to communicate through Wi-Fi and a wireless network. We would have that capability, definitely to do that in the future.
I mean, we can't be climbing 150 poles in town, or whatever.
Well, that's only if we wanted to change the color, the glare, the
Okay.
brightness of the light. I mean, right now, once we have the light set up, the brightness will be set at that point, and that's the brightness the light would be from dusk to dawn.
Right, it'll be
basically.
geared to that area that you're lighting.
That's right, right.
Okay.
That's right. But yeah, we would be able to in the future, better technology comes along and more
But I
grants,
hate
so
to
to speak, we'd be able to
Yeah.
to upgrade it.
If new technology came along, I'd hate to see us buckle down to this, the old style, and all of a sudden, new stuff comes in, it could save us more money, or at least time and labor in getting things done, that we can continue.
Well, ideally, we had looked at using the addressable light system, but there were costs that we weren't aware of at that time that were presented to us in our last
Yeah.
conference with this guy. And the most affordable one, the mesh network, has its particular liabilities because if a light fails, it's possible every light on that node will also fail. So I really don't want to get into.
Yeah.
Do you know, is Brockton on this kind of a system? Because I drove through Brockton the other night, and I was on a particular street where clearly these were changed. They were much clearer, much brighter. Really, really.
They're all
you
on
notice
LED
them.
lights, and
Yeah,
they're
you-
all on the
Very good.
high frequency.
Yeah, really good. But
Lights.
then I saw a few failures, and they looked like strobe lights. They were really flashing like a Halloween display, and you could clearly tell that there was
Maybe
something
going
wong
too
with it.
fast and
But,
using
but
What are
they,
we asking them
but they were really, really bright,
What are we asking
very
them
nice.
to do?
Yeah. Right,
To
more light in the town is,
whether they want to
a lot of people would love
continue
that.
Or just go with the park.
Well, what do we want?
I would think we'd go with this here.
You asking for a vote on something?
Just a general consensus and vote of the board for whether they want us to continue and take a chance with the controls, see where it goes,
Which is the vote we took the last time,
right,
to go with the controls.
to go with the controls, but based on the new information that we've
All
presented
right,
tonight.
based on the new
um,
information, what's your recommendation?
I would recommend going with the part-time night controls
okay.
at this point.
I will make that motion, based on your
Okay.
I'll
recommendation.
second that.
Okay, any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye,
Thank you.
Done.
makes sense.
Something's bugging me about this, about the kindergartners and the first graders, or whatever they are. Once the kids are out of kindergarten, they become walkers.
Correct,
That's got to be clear.
yes.
So this actually is a situation that's not going to happen all
It's a
at all.
temporary
Right.
situation.
Okay, it's a situation for a family that has someone that walks and someone who's in kindergarten.
It's special dispensation.
Okay,
Ooh, I like that.
okay. Anything else anyone have? We need to go into executive session then, in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Exception 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation, if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body. Also, under Exception 7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant and aid requirements, specifically Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 22, regarding the review and approval of executive session minutes, to consider the approval and release of executive session minutes from April 24th, 2018, related to an ongoing civil service appeal for a police officer.
So moved?
Second, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we will return in open session only to adjourn.